So I finished working on the tints on the outside. So I've added white to all of the saturated colors that were in the middle. And then I added black to the ones in the middle, and that created shades. And you can see some surprising things happen, things that you don't expect. Like you can understand that red would go to a burgundy and orange might go to a brown. But when you add black to yellow, it becomes a really lovely green. And you can get the same brown green with the orange and the yellow orange as well with the black. So playing around with it, you can really find some interesting colors. And of course, the more black you add, the darker it would get. The more white you add, the lighter it's going to get. I did the same thing with the phthalo green as well, even though it wasn't in our primary colors. So what we're going to do now is we're going to add to that. So we've taken our original 12, and now we've got 36 colors on our wheel, plus our phthalo green. And what we're going to talk about now is neutrals. Because as you can see, we've got colors, but we don't have any of the neutral colors like gray or brown that you can just sort of rest in. And nature has so much of that. You wouldn't want to have that intensity of color all the time. Now, one of the ways that you can make a neutral, of course, is just creating a gray using black and white. As you can see, my palette has gotten very, very messy, as well as my hands. And I'm running out of space. But you can just create a gray with black and white, and I'm going to start fairly dark here. And as you can see, I often mix with my paintbrush as well. So we're going very dark here, sorry. Go very dark on the first one, and then we can just lighten up by adding white. Now, this does give us the grays, and the grays, you can have a lot of different kind of shades or tones of gray. You can have grays that tend towards blue, or you can have grays that tend towards brown. I'm just going to add a little bit of white here with my paintbrush. And adding white to your dark neutral gives you a much better idea of actually what the tone is, whether it does tend to a blue or a brown, or whether it stays quite in the center. And if I do that again, I'm going to make it even lighter. Now you can also create all of your neutral colors. There we go. Okay, so you can also create your neutral colors by using colors that are opposite on the color wheel. And I'm talking about the saturated colors in the middle. So for example, if I take red and green, and they're opposite each other, if I put them together, I should get a nice neutral. So let's see what, oh dear, I got gray in there. So we'll put some of our red and our green together. Now, remember, neutral can be gray or brown, and you can shift it a little bit, but most often you will get a predominantly brown or gray. So here's what it looks like really dark, and as you can see, right away it is tending towards a dark brown. And if you add white to it, you'll get a better sense of just what that brown looks like. Whoops, a little more. As you can see, it's a creative rather than exact science here. So you can see this is a very nice kind of a tannish neutral. And again, I can go even lighter and get almost the color of my bathroom upstairs. So that was with the red and the green. Now if I go opposite on the color wheel and I take the blue and the orange, the same thing should happen. I like using blue and orange to create a black and to create neutrals, because you can shift it a little bit towards more gray or more brown usually. I'm hoping this will work. This one looks as though it's going to stay green though. The thing is, the blue is really, really strong. And actually I'll just use a little bit of my red and orange and mix it in there. And we should get a bit of a brown. Okay, come along, it's a little bit of a brown. No, it's not really working that well. But if we, let's see, if we add a little bit more, if we add a bit more red to it, and that orange should work. Here's hoping. It's still going to be a bit, it's going to be too green. Even with the addition of that red. There, we can make it a little brown. I think my orange was just a little bit too yellow. And then if I can lighten it up, but again, it's going to be a little bit too light brown. So it's a bit of a khaki color here. Okay, now if you use the phthalo green, which is tending a lot more to a blue, and you mix it with the phthalo green with the red, and I'm just going to find some phthalo green. I guess I have to put out some more red. And I'll just, and I'm running out of space now. Put some red down there. And I have some phthalo. And we'll mix that together. And sometimes you actually don't know what color you're going to get until you do add some white to it. So here, let's see what it looks like dark. And this has, it looks as though it's got a bit of a purplish neutral undertone. darken that one up, and if I start to add some white to it, so you can see it's a bit of a blue-gray. I'll add some more white. Just about as much paint on my hands as I have on this paper. So you can see that you can create these neutrals by using the colors that are opposite on the color wheel. Now, they're of course very useful just by themselves, but if you want to tone down a color, say if you want to take a red to be not so intense or an orange to be not so intense but still maintain the orange color, then if you add one of these neutrals to it, it's going to bring that down. It's going to dull down the color. It won't be as bright. So it's very useful. And now I'm going to show you, now that we've created our color wheels here and we've created our neutrals, I'm going to show you some other color wheels that I've done. And this will allow you to kind of start to experiment. And as you add other paints to your repertoire, you can create more color wheels. So here are some of the color wheels I've done. It may seem like I'm obsessed with mixing color, but I find it's just so helpful that I have the visual reference before I actually go into a painting, so that the color that I have in my mind is one that I can find quite easily. So this one is about deepening colors with adding black and darker colors. This one on the top was working with trying to make the colors lighter and using cad red, quinacridone red, cad yellow, and phthalo blue to make the circle this time. And this one was a more complex one where I was actually using the complementary color, the one that's opposite on the color wheel, to make the colors grayer and less intense. So you can see the legend on the side gives you an idea of what I was looking for. Also, I find when I'm starting to work with, say, a new set of colors, or this time I was working with oils, I just put the oil swatches down and then I photocopied them to see what the intensity, what the value structure was, so that I could work those into my paintings. And I was experimenting with some grays up there. And there's also a commercial color wheel that you can buy that you can simply dial in the combination of colors and it'll give you an idea of what the color that the result will be. I always find though it's better to make your own with your colors. So here's just a color chart that I did in one of my first years of painting, and it just helped me to learn how to mix colors to try to find what I wanted. And this is a commercial one that I bought that was quite helpful. For doing landscape paintings, you can see the color wheel is quite helpful because you can achieve all those different greens and the browns, and of course adding more lights and darks to it will even change that. And of course a lovely blue for the sky, adding white, adding some yellow. I was just playing around with it and found all these different colors just from that single palette of all the different shades of blues and greens that you could use. And also, if you're interested in doing portraits or skin tones, I've given you this example here. Really, you're just using lots of white with the yellow and the red, and the lightest light there, those highlights with a touch of yellow, and then the little ruddier spots like the tip of the ears and the tip of the nose with adding a little bit more red, and the shadows with purple, blue, and green. It's a fairly simple palette and very cohesive. So I hope this has been helpful for you. Color mixing is a really important tool for painting, And the more you do it, the better you're going to get at it, and the more you'll enjoy your painting. And then you'll be a real painter like me who has blue paint in her hair. Anyway, have fun.